Alex here with eye conflict child. Well, actually, no. This could apply to any video. So let's call it a legal nuts and bolts video on ex parte communications. This is something that should be a no brainer, but apparently is an issue. Some people wonder if this is okay to do, is to communicate directly to the judge or through their staff about the case, not using the formal process. So the formal process is show up at a hearing and argue, file a motion, stuff like that. That's above board and allowed. Some people get really desperate and they think to themselves, I just need to talk to the judge. I think I talked a little bit about this in the video relating to the judge. This is an old video, but it doesn't matter because that video isn't really on point. It's stuff like that where you're trying to solve a problem by sending a letter to the judge or finding the judge in person and talking to them in person, which is a huge no no. Especially since, well, if it has to do with their home, that's supposed to be secret. They keep their home addresses secret, so going to their house is going to weird them out. Like, this is stuff that just you should not ever do, but some people think that is okay to do. Yeah, don't do that. So there's aside from the fact that it's going to make you stand out in a very negative way and most likely backfire on you, especially if you're trying to trigger a recusal on purpose, which some people do, and they can see right through it, and it just makes them immediately think that the reason you're trying to game the system is because you are a terrible person and that's the only way you can win. So just where was I? Ex parte communications. Aside from your perspective, which is, as I mentioned, a really bad way to stand out, there's also their perspective, which is that it's a violation of the judicial canons. If they do it unsolicited, they'll usually just report it to all the other parties and let them know what the communication was. If they're actually taking part in it, they can be disciplined, and it's happened here many times, up to and including removal from the bench. So, number one, don't do it because you look bad. And number two, you could potentially get them in trouble, which people may not necessarily care about that, but they sure do. They do care about that. There are boundaries as to what ex parte communications are. For example, when I communicate to the court to get camera access, it's not considered an ex parte communication. Number one, I'm not a party to the case. I'm a news reporter. Number two, the communication has nothing to do with the substance of the case. It's just asking, hey, on this particular date, I need to set up a camera. And the judge usually doesn't communicate directly to me on that anyway. It just goes to their department staff and they'll see maybe an order will pop up in their system and the judge will sign it. So even then, the communication is very minimal. I would say to anyone watching this, err on the side of caution and do not communicate to the court unless a rule allows it, which you can check your rules because they are pretty specific about what they do allow. One of the common things they allow is proposed orders to be. They do send those to the department. As far as I know, all of the districts handle it differently, but those may be something that's allowed. You have to look at the local rules, and even then, they probably require you to CC the other side anyway, which means it's no longer an ex parte communication once the other side is CC'd. All right, guys, this is not a really complicated topic. Do not try ex parte communications, no matter how desperate you are. Oh, before I end this video, I guess there's some organizations out there that you can like pay them money and they'll send your judge like packets. This is also a really dumb idea. The judge is not going to read them. If they get some random packet from some random family court group on the internet, they're just going to throw it away. They might make fun of it, um, and that would count as an ex parte communication too. I mean, I guess if it doesn't say what case it's for, maybe not. That's another thing that they just are irritated by and annoyed by. Um, we could talk about that some other day, I guess. I think a lot of people do not agree with some of the stuff that's not allowed. And I'm just here to tell you how it works, not necessarily that I endorse or agree with it. And I can tell you from their perspective, if you don't agree with it, they couldn't care less. So it's not going to help to do stuff just because you agree with it. You think they should read it. So yeah, communications that come from a third party, whether it's like a friend or a relative or some organization on the internet that you paid money to send them a packet, that's still all ex parte communication. It's like, hey, look, Here's some stuff for you to look at. There's no motion before the court. No exhibits have been submitted at a hearing. I'm just going to email it to you, or I'm going to send it to you in the mail, just, stuff like that. Don't do that. All right, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them down in the comments below. But yeah, that being said, I'll see you guys next time.